Good morning and welcome to EFSA webinar on notification of studies. My name is Goran Kumric. I'm a communication officer in front desk and workforce planning unit, and I will be moderating this webinar today. I hope you hear me well and you see me, and that from the IT side everything works well. This webinar is a continuation of our webinar series organized in support to applicants to help you to better understand the requirements of the transparency regulation, the new processes and tools. I would like to ask for the next slide, please, to start with the presentation and introduction. So what is the goal of today's webinar? This webinar will present the new features of the system following the recent digital enhancement of Connect EFSA and how these changes will improve the notification of studies process. With this webinar, we also aim to support applicants and to enhance the dialogue with stakeholders. Thanks to those who submitted questions in advance of the event via the online survey. Just a note here that some specific cases and requests for advice cannot be discussed in the context of this webinar. And I would like to recommend you to consult us via the Ask a Question or GPSA General Pre-Submission Advice for questions related to applications under preparation. Together with me, we have a team of EFSA colleagues. We have two presenters, Thomas and Federico, and in the back scene we have Sara, Ilaria, Chiara, and Eike. We have also several colleagues from the technical side of support with us, Carolina, Marina, Margarita, working behind the scene. We can move to the next slide, please, to introduce a bit of the webinar guide for attendees. Just to say that you will be automatically connected on listen-only mode. The presentation window, you will see the presentation and the speaker delivering the presentation. On the right-hand side, you will have the question and answer box, which you can use to submit any question related to the topic of this webinar throughout the event. The webinar is being recorded. It is in English and questions should also be submitted in English. We will post later on after the webinar the recording on our website. Some questions will be answered in writing and some questions will be answered live by our speakers and contributors. And in case some questions remain unanswered, you can also resubmit them via the Ask a Question tool at the Connect EFSA platform. Throughout the event, we will have our colleague from Service Desk and IT Support, Margarita, with us, and she will shortly also share her contact. So if you are facing any issues with the technical side, please contact Margarita. We can make a change to the next slide to introduce the agenda. And here, just to say that we will have presenters who will present a live demo on different aspects of the notification of studies. You can submit questions during the presentations, and we will address your questions in writing directly in the chat or later on during the Q&A session. And here we can also move to the next slide just before we start to see who is in the audience today. I would like to ask for your participation in this small survey to start the webinar and to see who is with us in the audience. So if you could please scan the QR code that we have displayed on this slide. or otherwise you can also insert this web address into your browser and also use this dedicated Slido code. The idea is just to see who is with us today and to understand our audience. So if you are ready, please provide your answers to these questions. Please indicate your professional affiliation. We will give a few moments for everybody to access the tool and provide answer before we display the results. I think we should not wait too long, and I would ask Nike to display the first results. Okay. So here we have 125 answers. Thank you so much for participating in this. And we could see most of the attendees belong to the category of applicants. Then we have also consultants, food industry or associations, science and research, and we have still a few laboratory representatives and EU member states with us. So thank you so much for this interaction. And I would then go directly into the next phase. So we will start with a live demo session. We will have Federico and Thomas who will guide us through the tool and demonstrate different steps and new functionalities. Without further ado, may I ask Federico to take the floor and introduce the first part of the demo. Federico, the floor is yours.
Good morning. I will start with a demo showing the whole notification process from creating a study to complete the notification and the conotification. And then I will pass to show you the component function that is available in the pre-application ID and in the study record. You can see my screen, I suppose, so I will start. As you may already know, when you need to notify a study, the first step is to enter in your pre-application ID that you created to support the specific application to which the study is meant for. So basically, what you need to do to create a new study is to click New Study from the pre-application ID page and to insert a title. As you can notice here, you have two title window. The first one is, let's say, the running title, a short version of your title, and is limited to only 80 characters. Instead, here you have the study title in English. So if your title is in another language, please provide the required study title also in English. Here you can see your name as business operator. For this demo session, we created a dedicated username that is for FDP and a new functionality that for many of you is quite new, the laboratory. So this means that already at the moment of the creation of a new study, you can indicate the laboratory that will collaborate with you and that will conotify the study. So let's start creating a a study, I will use examples as a title and also as an information for the study. So only for this webinar, it is not a targeted example for a particular food domain or regulated area. I will select the laboratory. I created also a laboratory affiliated to FDP just to show you how it works. And then, if I'm ready, I will click on Next to create the study. I click here to go directly on the study record. Here we have it. As you can see, the study is in draft. So we are in the draft status of the study when we are required to insert all the needed information. You have here the study status tracker with some guides for you about the information that are required and what you can do in this status to the study record. You can edit the study at this moment to insert all the information. Click Edit button, and here you can see the edit window. When the study is in the status draft, you see this field for the information. This means that you can modify the laboratory that you indicated the moment the creation of the study for the entire duration of the draft status. So when the status is draft, you can modify the laboratory all the time you need to do that, because the study is not yet submitted to EFSA. So I'm fine with the laboratory information, I'm fine with the title. I will proceed indicating the study starting date, tomorrow, and the study planned completion date in a month, let's say. Then I'm required to indicate information about the study scope. Study type, I can search, for instance, toxicology. It's just an example. And I will select one of the toxicology related study type according to my needs. This is the food domain. This information is already here, is already available in the draft study because it is taken directly from the pre-application ID. So this will help to have all the studies linked to the pre-application ID aligned also from the side of food domain, authorization type, and application type. I will indicate the international standard certification. Just an example, I select GLP. And then the test item. The test item is exactly what the words say, the test item of your experiment. So if, for instance, your test item is a component or a substance that is contained in your product, you can indicate it there. If the test item is your product, you can indicate this in the test item field. Here you can specify information about the study objective. This information is very useful for us to fully understand what is the objective of your study. So please, you can be concise, but please indicate as much as you can as information in this field. The study design is another, let's say, part of the study information that are required. And here you need to select a study guideline that you follow or not for performing the study. So for instance, you can follow, for instance, an OECD guideline if available, or if not, so this means that if there is not an international guidance that you follow for the study, you can indicate other. In this way, you have the possibility to further specify the guideline that you follow. For instance, maybe you found a protocol in an EFSA document, or is an internal one that you are developing for precisely for this study. You can specify this information here in the study design description and in the study detailed protocol. I mean, we know and we understand that the moment you start drafting a study notification, probably you have not already a super defined final protocol for the study, but at least you can start indicating some details that later on you can further adapt and update. So I'm fine with all the information. This field must be completed, and then I will click on next. The study the study page will be updated with information that I put in the edit window. And now I should be ready to notify the study. I click on select operation and I select notify. Click on next. The system found that I missed to indicate details in the study objective field. To do that, to proceed in this way, I will click again on edit. I go in the study objective and I will put some characters just to pass the check of the system. But in your case, you should indicate the objective, the real objective of your study. I click on next when I'm ready, finish, and then I can click here. Again, select operation, notify, next. So now the system that is validating all the fields that are required for the study to be notified basically said me that I passed the validation check and I can proceed with notifying the study. This is a new window. Is a new functionality that we insert in the system with the latest system announcement of April. Here you can find the laboratory organization that you indicated at the beginning when you drafted the study, or that you indicated when you edited the draft study record. If you are sure that this is the laboratory, you can proceed. If not, please click on the X and select again another organization that is correct. Since I'm fine with this laboratory, I can proceed and click next. At this moment, you can insert comments for the laboratory as Conotifier. And most important, you can check the business operator email and the laboratory email. This means that you find here an email for the business operator. This is the default business operator email, the one that you indicated when you created your account as organization email. The system by default put this email here, but you can adapt it according to the person that is following from the business operator side this specific notification. So you can change this email editing the field. The same applies for the laboratory field. This is the standard email, the default email that the laboratory, when created the account, indicated as organization email. If you are sure that there is a person in the laboratory that needs to be notified about this study submission, you should adapt and amend this email address. When you are ready, you can click on next. So now the system alerts me that the study is notified. I will refresh the page and you see that the status changed from draft to notified. And here, the study status tracker show me a message that the notification is due from the laboratory, ideally in 30 working days. At this moment, the laboratory is alert via an email about the study notification, so they can proceed with the notification. Also, the business operator is alerted. Let's hope that Gmail will help us. So, as you can see from my Gmail address, that is the email that I used for this business operator account, the system alerts me when, firstly, I created the study, and secondly, when I created the draft study with some information about the study record. The second email alert that you received from the system is that you have successfully notified the study. You see, you can find here, let's say, a recap of the main information: the study title, the fact that the study is now notified, the fact that the Conotifier will proceed with the conotification, and then that you will be informed by the system when the conotification will take place. This is the ideally due date for the conotification, and here you can have you see the link to your study. So you can also access a study that you have notified directly from the link provided in this email. Now I will show you the side of the laboratory. So what happened to the laboratory when the business operator submits a study notification? This is the laboratory account. The laboratory account, the laboratory, when login, will have this dashboard. The first step is to go in the study section. Second step is to go in the tab to Conotify. This means that this tab will show a list of studies that is expected to be conotified by the laboratory. As you can see, here is the study that I've just notified. I enter in the study. And here I find all the information that the notifier, the business operator, put in the study record. The laboratory cannot edit the study information already notified, but can, at the moment of the submission of the conotification, provide some comment to the notifier or contact the notifier via email if some part of the study needs to be adapted. After revising all this information, me, as laboratory, I can proceed with select operation and conotify. If I'm fine with all the information, I can proceed, and if I'm the laboratory that is doing this study, so if I'm the correct conotifier, I can continue with the conotification. If, as laboratory, I have a doubt about this study because it's not me that has to conotify the study, because it's not me that have been commissioned to conduct such study, there is a new function that we implemented, and my colleague Thomas later on will explain you all the detail of this function from Conotifier. You also find here some brief indication that will explain better you the context of this from Conotifier scenario. Since I'm the correct notifier, I will proceed clicking on next. I can leave some comment to the notifier. And then when I'm ready, I click on finish. The system will inform me that I successfully conotified the study. If I refresh the page, the status should change. Sorry for the delay with the system. Okay. The status changed to conotified. And also the study status tracker, sorry, is updated, saying that I've successfully conotified the study, and I inserted some comment, and I can see the comment that I insert here in the study notification detail here, conotifier comments, and I wrote something like some comments. It's important to say that these two parts of the notification process, so the notification and the conotification, are both related to the obligation to notify study to EFSA. The obligation is separated for business operator and laboratories located in the EU. So both the business operator must notify, but also the laboratory has to participate to the process, co-notifying We call it as Conotifier because it's let's say a collaboration between the two parts for one purpose, the notification of a study. But actually, the co-notification is a notification. So if you are a laboratory, you are obliged by regulation to do that step. So now you have a picture of the co-notification until the end. If I'm a laboratory, I receive an email from the system the moment the study is notified to EFSA by the business operator, and I assume to co-notify it. And when I complete everything, the business operator on its side receives an email from the system alerting that the study has been successfully co-notified by the laboratory, and then the whole notification process is concluded, is completed. So now the study is notified in the system. Now I want to show you another function of the study, the components. To show you this function, I will start from the pre-application ID. Sorry, the system is a bit slow. I'm getting there. Trying to refresh the page, apologize. Okay. Maybe now. Okay, here we are. This is the pre-application ID that I prepared for today. Error, fantastico. I'm trying again to enter into the pre-application ID page. Okay, no problem. I will show you from another pre-application ID. I just fill all the field very fast just to show you this function because it's very interesting. Okay, I have my pre-application ID now, and we were talking about components. The component section is present both in the pre-application ID, but also in the study record. The component section in the pre-application ID is meant for the applicant to further specify the details of the subject of the application. So as you notice, when I created the pre-application ID, I had to insert information about the subject of the application. That is actually the regulated product that is, let's say, covered by your application, the one that you will submit on the electronic submission platform, ESFC or IUCLID, depending on the food domain. So here you have your regulated product. If your regulated product is complex, let's say, and you may feel the need to further specify this regulated product in certain components that are relevant for your assessment of the safety, for instance, because are functional for your application, you can use this section component and create new components. You can click on new component, and you have a searching box. this searching box is linked with the param catalog, a catalog maintained by EFSA, where there are already several active substance, chemicals, but also some microorganisms already available for the applicant to be selected. Let's say that I'm interested to further specify my subject of the application with a component that is, I don't know, furan, for whatever reason. It's just an example. I select furan and I click on next. Next again. Now I successfully added furan to the component section of my pre-application ID. This means that I'm giving to EFSA more information about my subject of the application. If the components is not already in the parent catalog, I can create a new one. Clicking on this checkbox here, create new component. I can check it, and then the system show me a detailed window with a lot of information to insert. You can notice that there are only 1, 2, and 3 information that are, let's say, mandatory before creating your new component. You should indicate an extended name to, specify which component are you going to create. Then you can specify other information like common name, other names, maybe in case it's a chemical, etc. If the components you are going to create as a case number, you are required to provide it. And you can specify the type of the term. So basically, if your component is a chemical hazard, a food contact material, a food additive, let's say, area of relevance of your component. When you are ready with this information, you can submit the new component. Next. This new component will be linked to your pre-application ID. So now you are at least 2 components that further specify the subject of your application. I want to show you the same in the study that we were working before. I have already prepared a draft study just to show you the component section. As you can see, like for the pre-application ID, we have also here a component tab. We click on the tab, and here, in a way that is exactly the same of the pre-application ID, we can create or add a new component to the study. Components for studies are more, let's say, specific. Let's say that you have a study with a specific target test item that needs to be further specified because there are relevant components of this test item that are important for your application, but also that are important to further specify the scope of or the objective of your study. You can add this information in the component section. As I told you, in the same way you did that for the pre-application ID. Regarding the component, we can anticipate you that EFSA is going to improve this function. We would like to add new aspect, new functionality, or to make this function more user-friendly for your convenience. So since we are planning to work on this function, we are kindly asking you to provide some feedback to us about the use of this functionality, or other information. In this regard, in the LinkedIn applicant group, we posted a link that you can follow and reply to few questions in a short, very short survey. It would be great to have your feedback to better adapt this component function to your real needs. From my side, I concluded, and I will pass the floor to my colleague, Thomas. Thank you for the attention.
Thank you, Federico, and good morning from myself as well. In the remaining functionality, both of which were released recently. As part of the improvement of the Conotifier selection, which Federico already partially demonstrated, we try to enhance the process further with the functionality given to the Conotifier to promptly inform notifier about the mistake of selecting wrong Conotifier, and to the notifier the option to select a correct Conotifier within a short period of time. Let me start by sharing my screen. Let me demonstrate this Conotifier correction process with the study which Federico already created. I am now back at the position of the business operator, and I have several options how to arrive to that specific study. One I like the most is to use the search functionality on the home screen, where I can type the number of the EFSA study ID. And I don't need to, if I don't know it all, I can only type the initial X characters and see what the results give me. If you are not, just a note here, if you are not putting the full name, please use at the end asterisk, which then gives you the results which are matching search term. And here I'm going to navigate to the correct study. Before notifying the study, let me just quickly do a few amendments, which one of them would be the study title. As Federico mentioned, we have two types of fields of study title. We have in this section the full length, where the applicant can provide up to 300 characters study title. And let me do it right now. And also, let me change the study guidelines. In the previous release, we have introduced this search functionality, improved search functionality within the study type and study guideline fields. So if I want to display all available options, I will type all and then click on show all results, which gives me the list of all the results. I can also sort here by study guideline name, and in ascending order, in alphabetic order, I have all the results, and I can select the relevant one. Save the study. As you see now, here we have the full study title displayed. Nevertheless, on the top of the record, in this header, we are only displaying the first 80 characters. This is indeed a slight limitation of the system, and especially now with the reporting functionality, you will see that we are on some reports displaying both of these fields related to the study title. One with the 80 characters and one in the full length. The reason for that is that only the short version of the study title gives us the option to navigate to the report. You will see that there is the hyperlink, while the full text is just a text field and it doesn't allow us to navigate to that record. Let me now proceed with the notification. I select notify, next. And here you see that with the new improvements, we are already showing the previously selected laboratory. We have the option to change that if needed. At the moment, let's keep it as it is. And we click next. And proceed with the notification. Now I'm switching to the Conotifier. is this one. And again, here we could actually at the moment of the notification, as Federico mentioned, the email is being sent to the Conotifier with the link to the study, so we could navigate directly from the email. Alternatively, we can also navigate via the search option or via the usual search through the interface. We will find this study in our tab to Conotify. And here you see what I mentioned about the study title. Here we are only able to display the 80 characters limited length with the hyperlink to the record. And as you see, we are now able to notify the study. But in this specific case, I would like to let the notifier know that I was wrongly selected as a Conotifier. The window in which we can do that is 30 days. So I'm selecting the operation wrong Conotifier, clicking next. And I'm confirming that I have been wrongly selected. With this step, the Conotifier is losing the access to this record and cannot retrieve it anymore. Now I'm navigating back to the business operator, the notifier. Let me just refresh the screen. Or alternatively, I can also navigate there the usual way. So this study has now been moved to the section to correct Conotifier. I'm selecting the record. And I'm provided again with the option to notify this time to the correct Conotifier. As a default, the original laboratory account is displayed, but we have the possibility to amend it, either from selecting one of the recent entries we previously selected. You can also perform the search. Alternatively, there was also an option, if we cannot find the laboratory among the accounts, to invite the new laboratory as a Conotifier. Now I click on the next. Next. And this study now has been notified, and we are switching to the newly selected Conotifier. And again, here we will find the study record under the section to Conotify. Where again, the Conotifier has the opportunity to Conotify in the standard way, or in case that it has been again wrongly selected, can also mark that option. I can proceed with that. Next. So this is on the end from the side of the Conotifier, just navigating back to the notifier and refreshing the record. It will show us that now the study is with the status notified. Nevertheless, because we used already our one option to correct the Conotifier, we don't have this option. Therefore, if we want to, we will see that we could see that we would get an error message if we try to notify. The only option if we want to correct the Conotifier is to withdraw the study and submit the information, the study again. Before I move to the reporting, let me just summarize this process in this little overview. Which I bring to the screen now. So here I would like to demonstrate the process, how the study record moves. Before we implemented these enhancements, the study was normally would be moved from in draft tab to notified after the business operator would notify the study, and would stay there until the point that the Conotifier conotifies the study, and then we would find this record in the Conotified section. With the new functionalities, if we look at the step 1, the business operator is notifying the study. The study then is displayed under the tab Notified, and there we have 2 options. If the Conotifier within the 30 days marks the study as wrongly selected Conotifier, the study for the business operator, for the notifier, moves to the section to correct Conotifier. If the Conotifier, the laboratory, perform this, let's say, notification of the wrong Conotifier post 30 days, the notifier will not have the option to change this Conotifier anymore, and therefore the study will be displayed under the tab wrong Conotifier. And as we mentioned, the only option how the laboratory can be corrected is by withdrawing the study. Then the study would therefore move to the withdrawal. In case that the Conotifier is highlighting the mistake within the 30 days, the study will appear in the to correct Conotifier, where it stays within the 30 days. If the notifier will not change for the Conotifier, then the record will move to the wrong Conotifier. If within that 30 days the notifier for the second time is correcting this error, then again it would be moved to actually, apologies, it would stay within the notified until the Conotifier is conotifying this record. If there was the second, let's say, correction, or the message from the Conotifier stating that they have been wrongly selected, the study would move automatically to the wrong Conotifier section, because we don't have the opportunity for the second time to correct this error. Now, let me move to the next feature, which is the reporting. We give business operators and their consultants the possibility to access reports to be able to see in aggregated views their records, for example, studies or pre-application IDs. We have also introduced the possibility to export these reports into Excel or CSV formats. It may not be completely new, this functionality, to most of you, as we use the same functionality for the study types and study guidelines reports already back in October. So now I'm back on the business operator page. And here at the top navigation bar, we will find the link to reports. Sometimes this may not be visible straight away, especially if you have smaller screens. You will find the report link under section more. So then if you expand that, you can navigate from there. We have 3 different ways how we can navigate to the desired report. One of them would be to click on all reports, which is showing us all the reports available to us. Alternatively, we can use recent, which is going to show us most recently used reports. Or the third option is to navigate through all folders. And here we are basically grouping the reports into 3 different categories. So we have reports which are showing records which are owned by our organization. Then we have a section for reports, which are showing records where we were shared with. So either with the involvement of ShareWave or on behalf of. And then we have the section for the study types and study guidelines reports previously mentioned. So let me demonstrate now on one of the report. I will choose a report of my own organization. And I think here the most important or most used are the two at the bottom, all my studies and my studies. In my studies, you will find all the records of your studies which are linked to pre-application ID. Therefore, you will not find their studies which haven't been linked to pre-application IDs. For that, you can use the All My Studies report, which is showing all the studies irrelevant of whether they were linked to pre-application ID or not. We are also therefore not displaying the information regarding pre-application ID on these reports. If I click on my studies, you will see that as a default, we are applying two groups. So we are grouping these records based on pre-application ID and the pre-application ID request name. This grouping can be adjusted according to your needs. So if you decide that instead of these applied groups, you would like to group based on, let's say, status, you first remove the grouping which is applied by clicking on Make a Detail column. Also for the application ID. And then we can apply the groups on the status level, group rows by this field. And now we have the records grouped based on the status. We have some limited options to sort in ascending or descending orders the records. And we have also an option to use filters with a few defined fields where we can, or you can apply the filtering. So for example, if you are interested about study records with, let's say, notification date in this year, you would select this option and then apply. Just a note, this functionality, especially being able to amend this report, is only temporary. So as soon as you refresh the page or leave this page, the report will default to its existing setting. And the last thing I would like to demonstrate here is the export functionality. So for any report you prepare, you have the option to use the export function, where you have two options. You can export the reports to a formatted report, which then gives you the header and the groups displayed, as we can see here. Alternatively, we can also export to CSV, details only. And it's not only CSV, but also Excel format. In this case, the header is not displayed, and also the groups are not visible. Nevertheless, the information in relation to the pre-application ID is displayed at the end of, or somewhere among the lines. Okay, see them here. So the information is displayed, nevertheless, the grouping is not applied. And with this, I would like to finish my part, and I would like to give the floor to my colleague, Sarah. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. We are now moving to the last part of this webinar where we give space to questions from the audience. But very briefly, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Sara De Berardis. I'm the team leader of the team advice in the front desk and workforce planning unit, which deals with support to applicants and pre-submission activities. To start this session, we have selected 3 questions received in preparation of this webinar, either via the survey or the registration form. So let's go to the first question. Is it okay to delete a study from the portal if the study has not been started yet? So here it is important to clarify that the study notification can be deleted only if it is in draft. Once a study notification has been submitted, so the study is marked as notified, then it is not possible anymore to delete a study notification, even if the study has not yet started. This is to guarantee that study notifications are not deleted from the system and to ensure that EFSA has prior knowledge of all studies performed by business operators in support of applications requiring the EFSA evaluation. If for any reason the notification is not considered relevant anymore, the potential applicant has the option to withdraw the study notification. However, in this case, when submitting the application, the withdrawal must be justified, clarifying why the study notification was withdrawn. We can continue with the second question. Okay, the second question is about how business operators can share studies with another applicant and whether studies can be transferred from one account to another, so from a business operator to another business operator. At the moment, it is not possible to transfer studies. However, it is possible to share a notification with another business operator. As you may already know, there are 2 ways to share a study notification, the share with option and the option on behalf of. The share with option only provides read access rights to a notification, and it is important to consider that this type of sharing cannot be removed if the study is already notified. If you select the option on behalf of, you also give to the other business operator edit rights. This is, for example, the option that an applicant would use when it wants to delegate the pre-submission activities to a consultant. This option requires to establish first an account relationship with the other organization, and this option is not permanent and can always be removed. So to answer the question, there is not a predefined recommended way to share a study with another applicant because this depends on the specific situation you are facing. The type of access that you need to give to the other business operator may for sure be driving your decision. But if you have doubts, you can also contact us via the Ask a Question tool, providing all the information on your specific case, and we will advise on how to proceed. We can move to the third question. The third question is related to account management. Some of you were asking questions on the number of contacts for each account, on how to manage these contacts, and on the possibility to remove contacts that are not active anymore. This is a frequent question that we receive through the Ask a Question service. So to clarify, currently each account is provided with a minimum of 6 active contacts. There is also the possibility to request an additional contact in addition to the 6 already granted each time that 50 study notifications are submitted in a given calendar month. If you want to activate a new contact for your account, for example, to add a colleague to work on pre-submission activities, you can do that directly from the section My Details in Connect EFSA, where you can find the option New Contact. Once you insert the information there, EFSA will receive the request and will activate the new contact after a verification step within a few days from the request. Instead, if you wish to remove a contact that is added to your account, as might be the case for a former employee, You can write to us using the Ask a Question tool, clearly indicating which contact needs to be disabled, and we will perform the changes and inform you as soon as this is done. So with this, I give the floor back to Goran.
Thank you, Sarah. And let me thank also to our speakers for the presentation that they delivered. We will now move to the second part of the Q&A session to address a few questions that we have received during the webinar. Obviously, as you can see, we have also provided written answers to many questions that you have posted today. Thank you for your active participation and for submitting many questions. And here now we move back to our speakers to respond to few questions that we have received for oral response. So first question would be for Federico, and this is about study design info is only needed in case of notification of intended studies for renewals. Please, can you confirm? So, Federico, please take the floor.
Hi, hi, good morning. So to answer this question, I assume that the requester is talking about the intended studies, meaning the list of intended studies supporting a renewal. So in this context, the study design information is needed. In fact, in particular, the potential applicant intended to submit a renewal application must indicate the study guideline. If the study guideline is not available or is not a specific study guideline information is followed, then the potential applicant must indicate a description of the study design. Study design and study guideline are both two information of the same section, so they are linked. So I confirm that this information is mandatory to continue and submit an intended study.
Floor back to me. Thank you so much, Federico. And another question for you, please. I will read it out and then give the floor back to you. What is the accepted flexibility concerning starting date and completion date? Both cannot be exactly known in advance when the notification is done. Please, Federico, share with us your views on this question. Thanks.
Thank you for this question. There is, let's say, some space for flexibility, obviously, because the submitter, the notifier of a study, can edit the information submitted. But there are some limits. For instance, it's important to say that the starting date of a study should be more or less more stable than the planned completion date, because the starting date is functional to understand if the business operator submitting the study is compliant with the obligation to submit a study notification without delay, so before the starting date of such study. So this date should be stable. And this, for instance, is a date, can be the date of when the business operator signed the protocol with the laboratory, or when it is defined the study plan. This is the starting date, as it is explained also in the Article 2 of the practical arrangement on the pre-submission phase and public consultation. On the other side, the planned completion date is planned, as the name suggests, is a provisional date, so can be partly adapted, obviously, if needed. For instance, for some delays, for some adjustment, I mean, whatever reason, this can be adapted to the needs of the business operator. We must say something very important. All the changes of the study record are tracked in the history. And EFSA, or the member state, during the assessment of the validity of the study notification and the check of the compliance with the study notification obligation, can check this information. So be aware that everything is recorded by EFSA. Also the changes of the study starting date and the study planned completion date. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Federico. We will continue with another two questions that we have collected, and this would be Thomas responding. I will read first question. Would it be possible to always include the EFSA ID and the study internal reference in all emails? Thomas, please help us to answer this question.
Thank you, Goran. Indeed, a very relevant question. We are, or this link exactly to the specific record is being provided on many of our notification emails. Nevertheless, we are aware of a few which are still missing this. I'm happy to announce that we are starting a new project where we would like to focus more on user experience and reviewing all the notification emails and improving and enhancing this functionality is perceived as being part of this project. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Thomas. And the last question in this section that we have is the following. Related to the API way of submitting data, is there a plan to implement that in the future? Just looking at the digital decade and inspired by ECA transition plan. Thomas, please help us with this one. Thanks.
Thank you, Goran. Indeed, this is a question which comes up naturally, thinking about the integration between the different platforms and systems we are using. Unfortunately, at the moment, this option is not foreseen, but it's there, and yeah. At the moment, unfortunately not. Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. With this, we have reached the end of this session, and let me thank again for our speakers and contributors that answered the questions, and of course, thanks to all the participants that submitted the questions today. Before we close the webinar today, let me show some final practical and logistic information. Here, just to say that in case some questions remain unanswered, you will have the opportunity to submit them in the Ask a Question tool. Recording of this webinar will be posted at our webpage in coming days for those that might miss the opportunity to participate in this event. Not to forget to say that we value your feedback a lot, and it is essential for us to improve our future webinars and future events. We also tried to ask for your input in advance of the event via the survey and also via the registration form. And here another opportunity to provide your input and feedback via the satisfaction survey. I have shared another link for your possible contributions to the survey on notification of study database. where we would particularly appreciate your input related to the reporting and components functionalities. Just to say that with your help, we are committed to continuously improving our IT tools and dedicated web portals to make the user experience better. We can move to the next slide just to remind about other services and tools that we are using for communicating with applicants with you. I would point out to this LinkedIn group, which is then created to provide support to applicants, consultants, laboratory representatives, and all other users. We are sharing here relevant information related to the application procedures, about the training materials, updates of different user guides, also clarifications on frequently asked questions, and this we have created as a space for interaction also between peers. At the moment we have some 900 members, so you will find here the link and the QR code to access this group and become a member of it. If we move to the next slide, we are then basically providing several additional links to our website, where you will find additional useful information, what I mentioned related to the application procedures, application toolkit, and also related to the topic of this webinar, user guide on pre-application ID and notification of studies. On behalf of our EFSA team, I would like to thank you for attending this webinar today, for your cooperation and your engagement. Thank you for your attention, and I wish you a nice day.